Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Channel 6 TV Community Focus. Glad you could join us tonight as we're having our political countdown. It's campaign time, and we're going down to November 6th. That's Tuesday, November 6th, and you ought to be marking that on your calendar because that's a big day for everybody. And if you're not paying attention to that, then you're not paying attention to what's going on in government, because that's the day you have your chance to say your voice. And that's absolutely the most important thing you can do all year long. I mean, it's good that you can do a lot of things and serve your country. But people talk about the many different ways you can serve. One of the easiest ways to serve is taking 10, 15, 20 minutes out of your day, whatever it takes to get to the polls and back. But show up and vote for the person of your choice. And our job here at Channel 6 is to give you the options, to tell you who's running and let you know a little bit about that. Because you don't want to walk in the polls just not any idea at all. And that's what we're doing today. We've got 50th District candidate for state representative here on the Democratic ticket, and Mr. James DeWeese. James, first of all, welcome to the show. Appreciate you taking time out to join us today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to speak to our Nelson County residents about the issues.
Absolutely. Well, before we get started, tell us a little bit about James DeWeese. I mean, who are you?
Well, I live here with my wife, and I have 2 children. I have a 5-year-old Mason and an 8-year-old daughter, and I work for Teamsters Local 89 as a business agent. I represent workers, so I'm an advocate for working families. That's my job and what I do. And that's what I'm hoping to go to Frankfort and be, is a strong voice for working families, because I think we really need it. And now more than ever, after the past 2 sessions that we've had of a lot of paycheck cutting bills, the attack on teachers, public education, and our pensions.
Yeah. You know, I keep hearing all the time how our economy's buzzing along and everything, but I haven't seen a lot of changes in paychecks. Maybe there is, and I just haven't noticed it. But are we, I mean, how are we doing right now? What needs to be done to make things better?
Well, people tend to say that the economy is doing really well, and in fact it's not. The stock market's doing really well, but the stock market isn't Main Street. Wall Street and Main Street are 2 different things. On Main Street, people's paychecks are getting smaller, they're stagnant, and they're struggling. And you know, and some of that is from what's happened in the recent legislature here in Kentucky. And so I'm hoping to go to Frankfort and be an advocate for us working families and make government work for working families.
Now, being working with labor unions for many years, obviously you see the issues that face, because I know for years labor unions, I mean, they were essential. There for many years, people just, it was the thing, because you had to have a labor union because there was a lot of atrocities going on. And is that still going on today? We just don't see it as much, or what's happening today?
It's still going on. In fact, you know, you look at the recent Four Roses strike that's occurring right now, where you have the company coming in and pushing a second tier on them. It's happening with the company I represent, the UPS workers. We're going to fight for our contract, and you're starting to see this across the board.
So when you talk about me, are they adding on more? I know one of the big things I see over and over is they're hiring more part-time people. That way, the benefits that you and I grew up on years ago, simply not there anymore. Health insurance not there anymore. Vacation's not there anymore. You're just working for a paycheck, and that's it.
And the paychecks aren't enough for people to sustain. And, you know, they're definitely feeling the pinch in their pocket.
Is there something, now you go into Frankfort, obviously, is there something that the legislature can do or not do or whatever that can make a change in all this?
Well, some things have already happened that's caused this to be more prevalent of people losing their paychecks and or their paychecks being reduced. One is they repealed the prevailing wage, which immediately hurt our construction workers here who were being paid the prevailing wage when doing certain projects. Non-union workers call it scale work, but we had construction workers in this county and counties all across Kentucky took an immediate hit on their paychecks from this. Another thing is right to work, and you know, we were promised going into 2016 that that right to work was going to help bring jobs here. It's going to help bring good paying jobs. Jobs are coming here to Kentucky, but they're not good jobs, and they do not pay a livable wage. In fact, since 2016, our wage growth is the 3rd least in the country now, which is unacceptable. We have more small minimum wage jobs being created. Most of them are going to most of the jobs anywhere are going into the Louisville and the Lexington market, leaving some of us folks in the rural areas left out of the job market. But nevertheless, I mean, the paychecks are being stagnated here in the state. And so that's creating a huge problem with workers across the state.
What do you see as the movement behind that? Well, I mean, who is really pushing? I mean, obviously, companies want to pay less and get more because that's just natural. But is that coming from a national movement, or is that something locally that's sort of caught on all of a sudden? How's it working out?
Well, right to work and the repeal of prevailing wage is something that's been around for some time. In fact, right to work has been around for many, many decades, since probably the 40s. And during that time, you've seen states create the right to work laws, and over a period of time, they become some of the poorest states in our country. And so, I mean, it does have an immediate effect, and it has a long-term effect. Now, labor unions and worker advocates like myself, we've been saying all along that when you create these laws, wages will go down over time, and we're already starting to see it. And like I said, we're the third lowest wage grower in the country, and so we're already starting to see this.
Well, for the past several years in Frankfort, across the state, the biggest number one overwhelming elephant in the room issue has been the retirement system, the pension system, whether it's teachers, state retirement, county workers. I mean, it's all the way around, and that's an issue that's many people though are simply going to break the state at one time. I mean, I don't know, has that been solved, or what's going on?
Well, it's you know, they did make some movement there with the pensions, but it was a terrible move that they made. There's a lot of other things that could have been done, and you know, for me, I would have supported the legalization of gambling, and among other things, you know, the marijuana. I would support that, and create new revenue those ways, rather than off the backs of working families. You know, one of the things that they did for a revenue generator.
That was my next question.
Well, we can go ahead and go into this, because this is what's affecting people's pockets probably the most, and that is the shift in taxes from the most wealthy to the working families. And so if you're a working family and you make about $175,000 or less, you received a tax increase overall.
Well, basically, you're looking at taxing of services. It's been talked about for decades. They've been talking about taxing services, but that's been fought over and over. Well, the battle was lost this year as far as that part of it goes.
It was, and that's one of the things I want to do go to Frankfurt for, is I want to stand up and make sure working families aren't overtaxed. I mean, you know, that's something that can have an immediate hit into the pocketbooks of working families.
Well, yeah, because there's taxes now on pet care. There's taxes when you get oil change. There's taxes on everything now that 6 months ago there wasn't taxes on. So looking at that revenue, I mean, obviously the gaming issue. I mean, we've got people going to Indiana or other places. I see where Churchill Downs has got got their exemption for gaming down there.
Yes, with the historic racing.
Exactly. So, would that has anybody done much of a look at how much revenue that would bring in if we legalize gaming and again marijuana?
There is a number of different projections out there, but it could solve the pension crisis if we pass that.
Well, I understand Colorado. Well, that's what everybody points out, and they said basically it's been a tremendous gain for them.
Well, not only would it be a gain for them, it'd also be a gain for our family farmers out here. And
True.
And you know, we're blessed with a lot of farms out here, and farms struggle, and they struggle to survive. And this could be some additional revenue that could help with the family farm as well.
So we're talking about labor and pensions, but the thing is about the legislature is probably hundreds of issues that go through each year that most of us don't even pay attention to. But you obviously have to. I mean, you've been in Frankfurt off and on doing some work with the legislators. What else are you saying that needs to be pushed as part of your agenda?
Well, you know, me going to Frankfurt, like I said, I want to go there and be a strong advocate for working families and really make government work for us working families, and be a strong defense against tax increases on us, and also support bills that help our paychecks and not hurt us. And then also our education system needs to be funded better. And there's been a lack of funding for many years into our education, and we need to fully fund our education, help our teachers out, give them the resources they need for our communities, and also protect their pensions. And you know, we're going to have a lot of challenges moving ahead, particularly with the charter school bill that was passed. that's essentially going to take funds away from our current public
Yeah.
school system, and then with the move of removing the pension from the new teachers coming in, we're going to really struggle to attract quality teachers and new teachers into that field. And we have them leaving already because of the pension debacle.
Well, I know they've already lowered you don't have to have a master's degree anymore. They've lowered
Right.
that. That's
right.
already something that's been a immediate effect. And I don't know that that's going to make a tremendous difference, but on paper, it doesn't sound like it's progress.
Yeah. And across the country, there have been pockets of successful charter schools, but not many. They fail, and they're just another way for some people to profit off of public education.
Well, federal government has cut back on grants over the years, and you mentioned public education, where now it's falling more into the. People are complaining that the school boards are raising their taxes to 4% every year. But that in the past didn't have to happen because they
Right.
were getting money coming in. Now the money has really dried up from federal and state
Yeah.
resources. So that's again, when you mentioned public education, I'm sure a lot of the people on the school boards would love to see more revenue coming in from the state level.
They need it. Our textbooks are in shambles. Our teachers are stretched, and even my children, their classroom struggle. And my wife brings resources in to help the teachers out, to help the other students, and again, working families are stretched to the limit.
Yeah.
So for them to provide the resources for their own children is a huge struggle.
Yeah, we got this public schools, we pay taxes and have to have bake sales to survive.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so-
and it shouldn't be that way, because education should be the number one priority. One, going into the legislature, because that's our kids, and our children need the skill sets to go into the workforce, and companies are looking for those skill sets before they come here.
Infrastructure, obviously, the gas tax is down, and several other bridges. Got so many deficient bridges throughout the state, it's unreal. I can't even keep count of them right now. But with the gas tax going down, obviously more efficient cars, something's got to be done in that area, or our roads and bridges going to be crumbling in the next few years.
Yeah, we need to look at a different avenue for that needs to be taxed for those roads, because the fluctuations with the gas taxes is unsustainable.
And Connect, at one time, Connect was the Affordable Care Act version, and it was the model of the nation several years ago. Now it's been dismantled to where Medicaid is barely scraping by on its own, and the Connect system itself, I think it's called Benefine now, is basically almost non-existent. So we go from a state that has been really promising on insuring just about everybody in the state, and now it's a question mark.
Yes, and affordable health insurance is something that I support, and I'll always be an advocate for. Families need to be able to provide health care not only for themselves so they can continue working and take care of their family, but also their children as well.
All right, well, November 6th is coming up pretty soon. I know you got to be wore out because you've been going through a primary and this general election. I mean, you're out, and I'm seeing you out every day somewhere, either knocking on doors or walking a picket line or something. So, are you taking any time for yourself right now?
Well, right now I'm sleeping about 4 to 5 hours a night. It's just that time of year. I'm really busy with the work I do. I'm really busy in the community and with our campaign, and really working to go to Frankfort and be an advocate for us working folks. I live paycheck to paycheck just like everyone else. I'm a working family myself. So what I vote on not only affects you all, it affects me. So.
Well, your opponent, just to mention, we've talked a little while back, and he advocates the fact that he thinks you should be a lawyer in order to be in Frankfort. I mean, and obviously I don't believe you believe that same thing.
No. Actually, I would like to see us change who goes to Frankfort. We have a lot of barriers that keep working folks from going to Frankfort and being legislators, or even city council for that fact. I'd like to see us get a law changed or get a law passed that if you're elected, whether it's city council all the way to Congress, your employer should hold your job and pay your benefits while you're in service to the community. That's a true barrier working people have in going into office, and we need more working families there to represent us.
Well, it's November 6th again. The voters make their choice. Is there anything in particular the voters need to know before they go to the voting booths on Tuesday, November 6th.
Well, you can always visit our website, www.jamesdeweese.com, and we'll have plenty of debates and forums coming up, so please stay tuned for those. And I ask for your vote on November 6th. Have a good evening.
All right. Well, James DeWeese, I appreciate you taking the time to come in here today. Like I said, I know you out pounding the pavement and coming in here, so they didn't fall asleep or anything on me. So yeah, I must did a good job.
You did a great job.
All right. Well, stick around. A lot more to come. James DeWeese, candidate for the 50th District State Representative, wanting to go to Frankfort to represent Nelson County. And November 6th, again, that is your day. And we can't emphasize that more than enough, because we want to see a tremendous voter turnout. If there's anything that we can do here, we want to make sure everybody knows to go to the polls, but not only that, but go to the polls. So please do so. We'd really like to see a great turnout and let the world know that Nelson County speaks loud and clear. We're paying attention. So stick around. A lot more to come here on Channel 6 TV. We'll be right back right after these messages.